Okay. So most of the schooling for, or the salary expectation is usually between $110,000, $180,000 per year. It depends upon your experience, your education, and as well as like what market you work in. Like if you work in California, maybe you hire a little bit on the higher end. If you work in North Carolina, maybe a little bit lower. Schooling is roughly 6 years, and you also have the potential to earn more from this. So let me go to the next one real quick. Sorry. Okay. So here's the education and training requirements for a perfusionist. So you got to get a bachelor's degree in a science related field. So it could be biology, chemistry, medical laboratory science, physics. You can almost get any kind of bachelor's degree as long as it's related to science. You need to maintain a minimum of a 3.0 GPA to apply to graduate school to be a perfusionist. And most of the programs, they require you to have some sort of clinical experience, like being a CNA, being a medical assistant, a EMT, a phlebotomist, like just having patient care hours. It's kind of like PA school, but not where you need like 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours, but more like, 300, 400 hours. And the prerequisites do differ between programs. And uh, the graduate programs you have to then apply to a graduate program in to become a perfusionist. The program's name is a perfusion technology program, and it's a master's degree. There are some schools that offer a PhD where you do the master's and you get the certification to be a perfusionist, but then you also get a PhD in some kind of health science. So that helps you become like move on to like teaching or some one of those kind of fields as well on top of the what? Sorry, the my thing like is messing up a little bit. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Good. All right. And then once you finish the program, you have to pass the board exam. So the American Board of Cardiovascular Perfusion, the CCP exam. Once you're done with that, you apply and you start working. It's a really great field. I think a lot of people could potentially be interested if they knew what it was. And MUSC here in Charleston does have the program that's available. So I've added the link there. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can. Um, Also, there's programs all around the country too. If you don't want to stay here in South Carolina, then this is a really hot field, a computational biologist. So a computational biologist, there's a lot of names for it, but they all kind of mean the same thing. There's bioinformatics, biostatistician, computer science with a focus in biology. So what these people do is they basically use computer programs to understand biological and chemical principles. They try to incorporate a wide variety of biology like genetics, biochemistry, plant science, agriculture, cancer biology. And just to give a snippet of kind of what they do is we know that there are certain genes that cause certain disorders. So what a computational biologist can do is they can study those gene patterns and how many times those individuals develop cancer, what's the percent chance, and they can correlate it into certain food regimen, treatment plan for a disease, or even for a symptom that someone may have. They can also apply this into agriculture. If you go to Kannapolis, North Carolina, they have a research center there between 3 or 4 different universities in North Carolina, including Wake Forest, NC State, UNC Charlotte, Chapel Hill. And that's just a whole research center. And one of the big things that they do is they do research on agriculture. There's a professor there that's trying to make the perfect blueberry. So what he's doing is he's studying the different genes that are associated with taste, texture, and size of blueberries, and he's trying to create his own specific blueberry with the exact genes of interest and essentially make the perfect blueberry that stays ripe longer, that doesn't go bad, that can be grown in various seasons. So it doesn't only have to be grown in blueberry season, but also grown in other seasons. So there's a lot of research in agriculture that's related to computational biology. Over since 2015, there's been a 24% increase in the demand since 2015. So it's a very hot and growing field. A lot of biology is turning into computational biology, mostly because we are now understanding more and more that how important genes are in the roles of disease, characteristics, whatever you want to put in there. So that's why it's moving towards there. Schooling can vary for this one, so it's not like a set in stone kind of schooling experience. Your schooling can be anywhere between 4 years to 10 years of schooling, depending upon what specific field you go into. Um, the salary range is also a little bit different. So you can make anywhere between $85,000 to $165,000 a year from this position based on your education, your training, your field of expertise, like where you're located. I believe in the one I looked up was Charlotte, North Carolina. It's roughly around 98,000 per year. That's like the average salary. So it really depends where you are and also your education. So in order to become one, some schools require you to get or some jobs require you to get a bachelor's degree in bioinformatics, but because it's so new, not all schools offer that as a bachelor's program. When I went to UNCC, we didn't have that as a bachelor's degree, but we did have it as a minor. So you could get a minor in bioinformatics. I know there's a lot of schools now that do have that as a major. You can, if you don't have that at your school, you can also be major in biology, chemistry, physics, engineering, computer science. But as long as you get the prerequisites for the graduate program, you don't have to get a full degree in bioinformatics. So you can be a biology major or a computer science major and apply to these graduate programs. So you would then have to apply to a graduate program in bioinformatics or biostatistics, and you can either apply to a master's program or a PhD program. It really depends on what you want to do. If you want to go into research and work at a university and become a research professor, then you probably will need to get that PhD. But if you want to just go directly into industry and work as a computational biologist, a master's degree would be enough for you to be able to do that. Also, it's important that when you do this, you gain certifications throughout your grad school program. So there's a variety of different computer programs that you'll have to learn. And since you're in grad school, all of those programs will be free, and the school will pay for you to get trained in those programs. So you obviously definitely have to look for that. Once you graduate, you can apply and you can start working. Okay. Then the last one I was going to talk about is a medical health service manager. So a medical health service manager is a little bit different than what we usually talk about. Like usually we talk about something that's in science when you're in a science major, but a medical health service manager is more on the business and administrative side of a hospital. So what they do is essentially they plan, they direct, and they coordinate business activities of a healthcare facility, whether you're talking about a hospital, sorry about that, whether you're talking about a hospital, a clinic, whatever you may will, and they manage various departments. So you can have someone be the head of the cardiology department. You can have someone be in charge of the oncology department. They'll work with human resource management in hiring and firing of hospital personnel like doctors, nurses, CNAs, PAs. And there is a 32% expected growth in demand in this field over the next 5 years. The schooling is also kind of varies. It's between 4 to 8 years, depending upon how you approach it. So, and based on your schooling and education and training, the salary can also range between 80 to 140 per year, depending upon your experience. So just how you would approach about going through this field. You can either get a bachelor's degree in health systems management, healthcare administration, public health, biology, chemistry, business. It really varies based on the school you're in. You also would want to do internships at hospitals, maybe a clinic, maybe research labs, like you want to intern and gain experience so you can understand how the hospital setting works. Sometimes if you want to go into a graduate school to do health service manager, then you may have to gain clinical experience, like being a CNA or a medical assistant, EMT, phlebotomist. And then once you do that, you can graduate and apply for an administrative role and work your way up, which is one route people do with just a bachelor's degree. But other people, they tend to go on to higher level education and get a degree in like a master's degree or a PhD in public health, healthcare administration. Sometimes they get an MBA in business. Some people even get a PhD in it, but it's not required for you to get a PhD. If you get a PhD, you're more on the teaching side. You may want to work for a university. Maybe you want to help with their program management or something like that. USC, however, does have a really good program, a public health program and healthcare administration program. So I did include the link below. So if you wanted to check that out, you can. Okay. And overall, whatever you end up doing, this is my advice from my experience. Always ask questions. If you're confused about something, if you don't understand something, if you really don't know what you want to do, talk to other people. Talk with your professors. Talk with your instructors. Talk with your fellow students. look for experience, look for opportunities to gain experience, whether you're going to join a club, whether you're going to volunteer, whether you're going to do an internship, or if you're just going to work a job. Try to gain experience, because that's, if you're just taking classes, you can't fully understand or figure out what you want to do. So you need to research on your own, because school doesn't teach you everything about getting a job. School teaches you how to prepare yourself, how to meet deadlines, how to work with others, and it gives you a degree. But you also have to use that and try to build on your experiences, because when you apply for a job, the main thing that you will always see on almost any job that you apply for, experience. And if you just do school and you don't do anything else, you won't have that experience, and it'll be a tougher time for you to gain the career path that you want to do. Obviously, school is very important. You still have to get good grades, because when you apply to these graduate programs, you got to have a good GPA. Fear and stress are normal. My first semester, when I was an undergrad, I took Gen Chem 1, right? First test, I made a 51, and that was like the first test I ever failed in my life, from high school, middle school, elementary school, and I was freaking out. I was like, I can't do this. But I talked with my classmates, talked with my professor, built good study habits, and I made an A in every science class I took after that. So fear and stress are normal, but you have to try to balance that out, try to figure out what works for you, talk to people, network, and find out what you really enjoy doing. Don't do something just because you think that's what you're supposed to do if you do a certain major. You can do many different things. We continue to live in a world where we're growing and expanding in technology. So you have many different opportunities. And that's what I have for you guys today. Thank you for your time. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Thank you, Uday. Really appreciate very great talk about all these wonderful paths for our students. Please feel free to ask questions to Uday. We have 5 minutes or so to answer any questions you may have.
Oh, go ahead, Betty. I think I see your hand up.
Hi, that was a great presentation. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I had a quick question, and you may have touched on it. I was having trouble with my audio at the beginning, but are you planning to return to medical school, or are you enjoying what you're doing now so much that you might stay in the field of biology and not go to medical school?
Well, so far I enjoy what I'm doing, and haven't given that a lot of thought. I mean, I do think about what could have been or stuff like that, but so far I enjoy USCL. It's been a wonderful experience teaching in person, teaching online. So far I like what I'm doing right now.
Thank you.
Can you recommend any careers that aren't so much medical, but more like plant or animal related?
Oh yeah, so that was something I wanted to include in my talk, but I didn't have enough time to incorporate all that. So environmental science and agriculture are a big field right now because of GMOs and the changes in climate and global warming. NC State so it's in Raleigh, North Carolina. It has a wonderful agricultural science program. I'm not too familiar with the ones in South Carolina right now, but I can look them up for you. But I know NC State has a great agriculture and environmental science program. In both, they offer a bachelor's degree, master's, and a PhD in that related field.
Thank you.
What about careers, I guess, related to epidemiology and pathogenic diseases?
Oh yeah, so that's actually something my wife, she's pursuing. She's actually doing her trying to get into a public health program and do graduate work there. So when you want to go into public health and epidemiology, typically you'll have to do a graduate degree in it. So most of the time, for your bachelor's, you don't have to do a public health degree. You can do almost any degree that you want to do, but you need to take the prerequisites for that graduate program. So depending upon if you apply to USC in Columbia for the graduate program or you apply to another school, if you go to their course page or their program page, they tell you the list of prerequisites that you need to get to do epidemiology or public health or healthcare administration. So you can major in biology or chemistry, but you take the prerequisites, you qualify for the program. And if you do if you do go into epidemiology, you can do a master's or PhD. And based on, you can work for the CDC, for Centers for Disease Control. You could work in research. You could work for a university. You could work for a hospital. There's like a number of different options for you. And you guys can feel free to email me if you have any further questions. I don't mind talking about it with you guys.
Any more questions, guys?
I was wondering if you could share the email that we can contact you with.
Oh yeah. I think. Let's see. I'll just put it in the chat, and then you guys can jot it down. It's also on the USC page. So I'm putting it right here. Okay, I put it in the chat so everybody can see it.
Okay, I think it's 12:54, 55. And if no more questions, let's thank Uday again for this wonderful, wonderful first lecture of spring 2021. Thank you again, Uday. That's really great.
Thank you.
Presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it
Hey.
very much. Interesting.
Hey, Uday, do you mind sending me the video of whenever it's ready, or
Yeah.
we can upload?
Yeah.
Thank you.